Right, today we are talking about, as I promised on Thursdays, we're going to be doing more of a business focus because I would like to have more prosperous mums out there. And one of the things is to be the best version of yourself. What do certain things, how can we do that? What's the next step? What are my success shoes like? What are my, what steps do I need to take in order to get to where I need to be? And to be the very best version of yourself, you have to have clarity. You have to have a certainty about who you are and understanding what works for you, what doesn't, and then assimilating some kind of goal that you get real clear and real focused on so that you follow through and you can actually meet your target whilst navigating challenges on the way. Okay, I mean, that's life, isn't it? It does happen like that. I wish I could say it's always plain sailing. I can tell you from personal experience, I know that it's not. And you are going to have hiccups, but it's how do you respond to that? So, I've already, told you guys about Emotional Resilience Toolkit. All these channel videos are all about how we can be the best version of ourselves by understanding who we are first so that we can get clear about what works for us and what doesn't, so that we can move forward in the best way possible, so that we're not wasting our time. We become very, very efficient about what works for us, what doesn't. Everything becomes so black and white when you do this stuff. There's no gray area anymore. When something comes across your path, you don't sort of go, yeah, I'll do that because everybody else is saying that it's a great idea. You go, does that line up with my goal? Does that line up with the way that I actually want to go? Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay, really great offer. Thank you very much, but I'm going to say no. So a lot of people will go, oh my gosh, are you crazy? That was like an insane offer. And you go, yeah, but it doesn't sync with my path. I'm getting clear on what my path is, and I now want to move along this way, and this is what I need to do, and it's not going in the right direction for me. So some people will think you're completely crazy. So I'm going to do a little bit of a success analogy here. I can't totally claim this. I saw this somewhere and I thought, yeah, actually that's really good. But it didn't have who even said it. So I'm sorry, I can't even give credit because there was no name on the end of it. But anyway, so, success, when you break it down, is first one was S, see your goal. Okay, so a lot of people say to me, Vix, I don't even know what I want to do. And I can tell you this, I'm going to start at some stage doing more compressed, short little courses that you can actually do so that you can get clear about things like what's my actual goal. But I can tell you now, if you follow the Vicky Jane videos, if you start doing this stuff, just listen to it, even if you're walking, driving, running, exercising, doing whatever it is that you normally do. While it may go, oh, it's not a priority, it will start helping you declutter your psychological shoe closet. When you start going, geez, those don't actually work for me. I don't need those anymore. Those shoes used to work for me. Those ones don't now. I need a new pair of shoes, and these are the shoes that I actually want. All my friends always wear these ones, but you know what? I'm not comfortable being that way anymore. That doesn't work for me. So you start on a psychological level decluttering, and that leaves you with a more succinct amount. Like if you know about the 80-20 principle of the Pareto principle, you'll only wear 20% of the shoes that are in your closet. 80% you won't. So what are the 20 that you always go to? What's the backbone of what you always go to? Now I would be assessing those. Get rid of the ones you don't typically wear. Make sure, sometimes that's real easy. Sometimes it's like there's ones that I feel I have to hang on to, and you might hang on to it for a while, but you might be wondering why you're doing that. And then you look at the ones that are working for you, and of those 20%, are there ones that aren't working? And when you get clear about what that is, then you can start filtering out. And if you have a leaning towards certain creative outlets, so where do I find my joy? What do I do? Get clear on what that focus is. Okay, how can I make, the core question that I always ask my guys is, what can I do in order to monetize what I love? Because if you can do that, then work is not work. It's you're making money out of your passion. It's not something you would tend to retire from. That's how I tend to look at it. We had this discussion the other day with some girlfriends of mine. And they were saying, they were talking about, if you had all the money in the world, what would you give up and all this sort of thing. And I said, well, there's, my marketing side of things, I probably wouldn't do that, but I'd never retire from this because this is who I am. I'm not going to retire from my purpose. You just don't do that, It's like the time I retire is when I check out and I cross over to the other side, because that's when God wants me to come. So that's how I look at it, and I hope that you'll see it in that way. So when you start aligning your passion with your path and your purpose, when you got the 3 P's in place, you start getting real clear about what it is that you actually want. So we will be going into more depth, but just assume that now, you have a goal. The next thing is to understand your actual destination. Like, what do you need to do in order to take steps in order to get to where it is you want to go? Now, it sounds so obvious, doesn't it? But so many people they just move. And it's great taking action. You definitely want to take action, because there's a lot of people who don't take action. And you want to take massive action, but you want to take massive correct action. There is no point in doing the same thing over and over again without the same, and getting the same result when it's not going in the right path. You want to make sure you're on the right path, taking the right massive action so that you can get to where you want to go quickly. And you've got to do milestone checks. So guys, at every milestone, go, right, have we achieved our objectives? What worked? What didn't work? And then how do we adjust that? And let's take these different steps now moving forward in order to. Now, if this really worked here, maybe we can adopt that same strategy and shift it to something else that maybe is struggling. Or if it's really struggling, how about we ditch that? Maybe that's something that's not working at all, and you have to acknowledge that as well. That way you are decluttering as you go, and you're getting finite and fine-tuned on where you are going, okay? So create a mental picture. So your final destination, I'm a very big fan of vision boards. And I always do, what's the final destination, so that you don't get lost. If somebody says, okay, I want you to come skiing, but I like snowboarding. Okay, I'm not going to do snowboarding. I'm just going to say, well, no, I'm a snowboarder. Oh, well, we want to go, be dropped out of a helicopter and do, snow off-piste stuff. Well, no, that's not me, mainly because I personally can't do it, but, that's aside from the point. But it's like, when you get real clear about this stuff, you go, no, thank you. No, that doesn't really work for me. So when you have a mental picture of, like, if you're a snowboarder, you've got your board, you may have a certain look, you may have a certain way that you behave, you may be different to a skier. The skiers are more, I think of like more old school, there's a lot more skills required sometimes. I'm not bagging snowboarders. You can have different types of tricks and different types of way of riding your board when you're a snowboarder that you can't do with a skiing. So there's a benefit in the difference, okay? It's just what appeals, okay? But when you're seeing the final picture, you're like, do you see yourself going off-piste? Do you see yourself going, just down a gentle slope, having time with your friends? What's your final picture? Where's your actual goal? So that you know where you are, as you're moving forward to it. And having a visual. If you're not a visual person, sometimes people do it, how do you feel? That's another way. But it's like, I'll know that I'm really good when I can go off-piste. That might be, comfortably without stressing. It might be that. But get very clear and get your language and your vision very, very crystal clear right from the get-go. So it takes a bit of time to get that right, but it's worth the time. It's worth the investment. So get started on that today. Clear your mind of all self-doubt. Now, this is an easy one to say, but the self-doubt thing kicks in for everybody, including myself. I'm no exception. There's parts where it's like, this isn't going as fast as I'd like. I'm having that at the moment, there's technological slowdowns, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so frustrating. I just want this thing live. And it's like, because of restrictions from other, third-party providers, I can't get to where I want. Does this, then the brain, the parrot shoes, kick in. I was talking about that in my, go have a look at that video, it's fun. The parrot shoes video, where it's like we have this, parrot sitting, talking on our shoulders going, well, maybe this is a sign from God saying that you shouldn't be doing this, or whatever it is. Or it's like, told you so, you're never going to be able to do this, why did you think you, so all that self-doubt, and it makes me feel quite, unpleasant inside, just, saying it, out loud, but it's a horrible thing, it's just like, no, thank you. So having ways to manage that is really key. How to break those records that don't serve us. Identify what the records are. What are those triggers? Go have a look at that video because it does make a difference, okay? Now, E is for embrace the challenge. You are going to get challenges. It's like this thing that I was just saying here, where it's like, should have been live like weeks ago, and there's been all these technical hitches, and, we have to find workarounds. And it's like, do you bottle at the first hurdle? Do you bottle at the 10th hurdle? How about we don't bottle at all, But there's also that fine line. Remember I was talking about, knowing when to bail or stay. Have a look at that video. If it is an ongoing and you're ignoring the signs that it isn't working, then maybe you need to pull the pin. Easier said than done, because I often find what happens is people put so much time, effort, and money in that they go, well, I've put so much time, effort, and money in that now I don't actually want to bail, because it could just work tomorrow. It could just work the next day. And before you know it, they've lost their house, they've lost their car, they've lost all their money. If the writing is on the wall, there is a point where sometimes we actually have to go, do you know what? This isn't working. So adapt, change, be flexible, try different strategies and ways, but don't be blind to something if it's really genuinely not working. So acknowledge what's a challenge and when it's not actually working at all. Very hard to work out, I know. The benefits of crystal balls, right? And I have been here, I have been there. So don't worry, I think there's been a lot of entrepreneurs who've been down this road where they've tried stuff, it's failed. It hasn't worked out, and it's a challenge. And also I would say, if it has been where it hasn't worked, get resilience tools in there so that you can manage how you react so it doesn't poison your next project, okay? Because that's quite common. Like, a lot of folks get so worn down by things not working that they give up trying. And it just means that you're just knocking on the wrong door. It just wasn't the right thing at the right time. You've got to have things lining up. Just be prepared for that next success. Don't give up. Even if you make it a moonlight project, make it a moonlight project, but still stay in line with your passion. When the time is right, it will happen. When the teacher, when you're ready, the teacher will appear, that kind of thing. But if you're not taking the actions towards what it is you want in the first place, nothing is going to come to fruition. So you have to open yourself up to that, even though you've had trials and tribulations before. So just hang in there, Listen to my stuff on the Vicky Jane channel. All of that stuff is how to ride those waves easier and how to take the knocks without being so negatively impacted. And if you want quick and short and something that's going to really help you quickly, the Emotional Resilience Toolkit is definitely going to be something that will help, okay? All right, stay on track. Okay, this is an easy one. We get distracted. There's lots of bling bling coming in, sweeping in from the sides. We get presented with something that flies in from the side, and it's like distraction. And dare I say, social media, huge. Oh, I'll just, there's an attractive offer. Oh, that's an interesting little bit of information about that person. Oh, that celeb's having a crisis. And before you know it, you're off into a little rabbit hole that has now slowed you down with your production. You've been taken off track. You're not where you're supposed to be. And even in the UK, they're now actually having email-free days as well, because they're noticing there is a stats that out there that every time you get an interruption, it takes 10 minutes to get back into what you're doing. Consider how many times you have been interrupted during the day. Consider how many times, okay? Now, every time you do that, add 10 minutes for every distraction that you've got, okay? How much of that time has now wasted? Add it up and see how much time you've lost because of social media, too many emails. So this is my strategy for getting around that. Have blocks of time. I have blocks of email time. I shut it down. Okay, I address my emails in the morning and again at lunchtime and at the end of the day. But normally, first thing in the morning, I club what I can within a certain period of time. What's urgent, what's not urgent, gets addressed first, okay? Then I have solid blocks of time for projects, and it is only that. I don't even answer my phone. Unless you are half pie dead, I don't want to be disturbed, because that is my focus time. I have only a limited amount of time, and it's all go. Now, if you look at Tony Robbins' Rapids results management, I think he calls it, he does this too. It's that whole thing, and the higher performers do exactly that. It's getting clear about what it is I'm going to focus on today. What's my priority? Why is that my priority? So it keeps you on track. Don't do things that are useless or can be done by somebody else, okay? Focus on what's the priority. So I make a list. I do highlights, of the things that are actually really important that I have to get through. I do timings next to each one of them. I add up those timings, and I now know that block, this is the work that I can get done in that time, and it's all go, and it's just focus and just massive action, okay? So get around that, especially if you're trying to get a project off the ground. It's much easier said than done when you are a parent, and you've got kids interrupting you or doing whatever. Try and find a quiet time where you can be uninterrupted. Have hubby or partner take the kids away. If you don't have that option, get up earlier or work a bit later, whatever it is, so that you've got that time where you can just crank out what you need to, on track, no distractions. Okay, right, all right. And then the final S for success is how world can do it. Do you think I would know what I've actually written down there? How would you know you? Oh, okay. So just success. Just know that you can do it. Have faith in yourself. That took a while, didn't it? Okay. Just have faith that, you may not understand it. It hasn't come together right now, but just stick with it. Have your stickability. Have that stamina to keep on pushing you through. It can be really hard going. I mean, like, I have to say, we say Africa's not for sissies, but I also say being an entrepreneur is not for sissies either. Like, you've got all of this going on all the time. You have roller coaster rides. You have cash flow issues. You have people, unhappy customers. You have really happy customers. Equally, a happy customer can take up just as much time, if not more. So it's one of those things of like, you have to be flexible. You have to ride the waves, which is why the mindset thing is so key, especially when you're a solopreneur. Okay, when you are a mumpreneur, you have to. If you aren't stable, okay, neither is your business. If you're unclear, your business doesn't know where it's going. You're just going to be drifting and sliding from side to side and drifting through life, and eventually it's just going to collapse. You have to be crystal clear. As mums, we don't have time to stuff around. Okay, we've got to be there for the kids, we've got to be there for the husband, we've got to do all the stuff at home, work wise, housework, etc. We have a very compressed window where we can actually be functional. You have to be crystal clear about what it is that you want from the get-go, and you have to have all these things in place in order for it to have any chance of success, any chance of survival. And if any of those steps are unclear or not in place for you, you've now run the risk of it not being a success for your business. So you have the power to change that. Everything resides within you, which is why I've got this whole thing about having your mental mindset is so key. It is an inside game, guys. It's an inside game. You are your business when you're a mompreneur most of the time, especially if you're a solopreneur. I want you to get to a point where eventually it's not just you and your business, that you have the capacity to have enough money coming in, that there are others that you can outsource to, that, or you can bring into your team, whatever it is that you want to do. But you have to get clear about what it is that you want in the first place. And these are some core tips for your success road, your map to being the best version of yourself. And ultimately, this is all about you being on your path, going your way, doing it how you want, irrespective of what others think about you. Okay, this is me. I love it. I'm authentic. I'm going this direction with confidence, and take it or leave it, baby. Take it or leave it. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time, and I can't wait. Namaste.